Okay. Shalom, everyone, and welcome to week 32 of Coffee and Connection. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. It's so nice to be on the other side of the month. I hope you all had an easy and meaningful fast. It's definitely a time to reflect, right? It's a day of reflection. I was looking at some notes that I'd written in previous years, and one thing that up is that question of something that's come up and I've shared with this community before, why to take the time to sit and cry. Why do we take a day to sit and kind of be in this like sad negative space? And a question you can ask is like, why are we focusing on what we don't have? Why don't we spend our time focusing on what we do have? Why don't we move forward? Why are we focusing on the past and what's missing? And the answer is, well, that's what we do the rest of the year. Right? The rest of the year, we're focusing on moving forward, our desires, what we want, what's getting in the way so I can deal with it. And really, that's what the period we're moving into, right? Who do I want to be? And what do I want to accomplish? And what do I want? And what do I need to do to make that happen? And that's what we generally do. That is our general focus. But we also take a few weeks after to reflect on what we don't have, to reflect on what's not working. Why? Because by doing that, that is how we can then take note of what's not working, what we don't have, what's missing, so that then we can take the steps to bring it into our lives. So that then we can ask ourselves the question, okay, so what do I need to do, right? What do I need to work on? What changes do I need to make? And I invite you to reflect on what came up for you yesterday when you were thinking about what's missing, or even now to think about what's missing. What is it that would give you reason to cry, to mourn, to feel like something's broken or missing in this world, in your world, in the world at large? And ask yourself, okay, so what, rather than seeing what's missing as a wall, seeing it as a hurdle, now you can ask yourself, okay, so what do I need to do to overcome that hurdle? And one of the big hurdles that I've been hearing from women over and over again in speaking to them is, what about resentment? What if I'm so full of resentment that I don't even know how to then work on the relationship, right? Women telling me that, I love to work on my marriage. I'd love to put in the energy, time to work on my marriage, but I'm so full of resentment that I don't even know how to manage that. I'm so full of so much negative energy. I just feel exhausted with all of this resentment. So I don't feel like I can do it. I feel exhausted and weighed down by this resentment. And I want to look at this topic of resentment because it is so important and so key to building good relationships, is letting go of resentment. Just give me a second to close a bunch of windows on my computer so that, one second, so that we can then hopefully have a better connection. Just give me a second here. Again last week. That was not funny. At least for me. This one usually takes up way too much of my memory. Let's see, what about this one and this one and this one and this one? Okay, let's try it now. Let's see if this is better. Okay, so let's talk about all the different ways, all the different aspects of resentment. So first of all, the question of, what do I do? Like, how do I, well, let's even take a back step. Why is resentment so bad? Well, what I have found from speaking to hundreds of women is that resentment is really the poison in our relationships. It is what gets inside of us, into the heart of the relationship, and destroys it from within. And so therefore, I very adamantly am going to say, if there's anything right now that causes you resentment, if there's anything that you get asked to do, anything that you're doing, anything that you are you find is like in your life that you are resentful for, stop doing it. It's not worth it. It is 100% not worth it. Nothing we do that causes resentment is worth what we think it's going to give us. It only creates so much negativity, so much anger, so much negative emotions inside us that it is never worth it to do anything that's going to cause you resentment. Now, when resentment comes up, it's very interesting. How do we deal with the resentment that we already have? What I'm going to invite you to consider based on what I just shared, right? If you're doing something that's going to make you resentful, stop doing it, right? Why? Because if something's making you resentful, it means that there's a part of you that really doesn't want to do it. It means that there's a part of you that is feeling some form of disrespect over doing it. And it usually comes in one of two forms. Either it's because I really don't want to do it. I don't enjoy doing this. I don't want to do it. Why do I have to be the one to do it? So I get resentful. The other is feeling like I put in all this energy, I put in my side, and I don't get it back. And that makes me feel resentful because I feel like I'm being stepped on. I feel like I'm not being respected, right? Those are generally the different things that can create resentment. And so what you have resentment within you is that you can use that. And this is where I'm going to invite you to do the responsibility thing, not the blame thing. We're not self-blaming. We're not victim shaming. This is not about that. This is about taking responsibility. If I feel resentment against my husband or my kids or anyone in my life, I can use that as an indication that I am disrespecting my own boundaries, right? That I am doing something that is actually, I am disrespecting myself. I may be doing it to make someone else happy. I may be doing it because I should have done. I may be doing it because I'm hoping that then, can you hear me now? I'm hearing that you can't hear me. Can you hear me now? Just send me a message if you can hear me. So choppy. Huh, that's so interesting. Let me see if I just close this completely. Leave. Did that work? Is this better? Is it better now? Okay. So fine. I'll have to open it all afterwards. So if I'm feeling resentful, then that I can use that as an indication. I can use that as a barometer. That means that I am not respecting my own self. Because as much as everybody else in my life matters, I also matter. And I'm only going to feel resentful if I am not honoring and respecting myself. If I am not looking at what do I want and what do I feel and what do I feel comfortable doing, right? What do I really want to do? If I'm not respecting that, that's when resentment is going to kick in. That's when it's going to slide in, right? So if at any point in your life, if you think back on anything and feel like I'm so resentful that I X, Y, and Z, or I'm so resentful that he did this, I really invite you to ask yourself, where was I not being respectful to myself in that moment? How can I be more respectful of me as I'm being respectful and taking care of everybody else, right? And that's a way to start to process and get out of your resentment. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the big questions that I hear from women in talking about joining the Absolutely Feminine group coaching program and working on their marriages in any way is this feeling of, but I'm so resentful of my husband. I don't know how I can give to my relationship. I don't know how I can deal and try to, make my relationship better when I feel so resentful of him. And I feel like I've been carrying this marriage on my shoulders for so many years. What, now I'm going to do something else? Now I'm going to put even more effort in. And this is where I want to tell you that I totally hear you. I totally get that. Working on your marriage and feeling like no matter what I do isn't working, and I'm so full of resentment, and I'm so hurt, and I'm so lost, and I feel like there's no way to make it better, is exhausting. Carrying everything on our shoulders, carrying our marriage on our shoulders is exhausting. Emotionally exhausting. It can be physically exhausting, spiritually exhausting. If we actually hold ourselves responsible for our husbands and who they are, it's beyond exhausting. And that's why I really believe that that it's so important to stop, that the very first thing to do, right, in order to be able to move forward, is to stop working on your marriage. Now, that might sound funny, but let me explain. What I mean is, stop focusing on fixing the marriage. Stop working on the relationship, and instead to spend time focusing on you, focusing on building yourself up, recognizing that you matter and knowing what that means, knowing how to honor that, knowing how to respect yourself and love yourself, so that you won't you won't put yourself in any situations where you're going to feel resentful, right? Really understand what it means to respect yourself, to love yourself, to understand yourself, really working on building a relationship with yourself. Once you do that, once you take the time to really work on yourself for your own sake, then it becomes so much easier. I'm going to say, it's not like, oh, now I have the energy to work on my marriage. It's like, it's not work. You understand why all of those things are important to bring into the relationship. You're going to want to bring it into the relationship because you see the benefit of those things within yourself. And even more, by the time, I know, like in the Absolutely Feminine program, by the time we start working on the relationship, you're already going to have a completely different relationship with your husband because of the work you've been doing on yourself. That is the power of working on yourself. When I learn to set my own boundaries, when I learn to love myself and respect myself, then I can step into my home, step into my relationships as a confident, feminine, loving woman who is being the woman that I want to be, right? And I can make choices based on what will allow me to be that woman. And I can fully know how to love and give and respect others and receive from others because I have learned to honor and love and respect myself. And that is the basis of a healthy relationship. It's the basis of a healthy marriage. And we can only gain that basis, we can only gain that foundation by working on ourselves, by saying, this relationship is important to me, and because of that, I'm going to focus on myself right now. It may sound selfish, but it is the most loving thing that we can do for ourselves and everyone around us, right? And we matter, you matter, and everyone in your life matters. And that's why working on yourself is that gift that you can give to everyone, and is the gift that you can give to yourself. And it's the way to shift what's happening in your life and move from what's missing, right? The time period we're in now, we're moving from what's missing to what we want, who we want to be, right? I know it's crazy, but we're like Av is like Elul Ba. You ever hear that? Elul's coming, Rosh Hashanah's coming, Yom Kippur's coming, right? And that time period, I have to tell you, is one of my favorite time periods of the year. I love this time period. Why? Because it's all about figuring out who do I want to be, and taking the steps to create that, right? And that's what I want for every single one of you, every single woman in this community. And it's just an amazing community. I was so touched when Shira shared with me that women reached out to welcome her and to say thank you. It's just, I was so touched by that. I just feel so much love for this community, and I want to thank you all for your support. And what I want so deeply for every single woman is to know who you want to be, to know that you have the power to be that woman. You are empowered to be that woman, to love yourself, to respect yourself, to honor yourself, to know how to get in touch with all the stuff that's getting in the way and clear it and work through it so that you can be that woman that you want to be, so that you can interact in this world the way that you want, so that you can create the life, the home, the world, right? The like bringing Hashem into everything that we do through being the woman that we want to be. And that is what the goal, that's exactly how I structure the program, is to give you that ability. And we start with on you. We start with focusing on who do you want to be, and understanding how to build a relationship with yourself so that then you have that foundation, you have that stability, you have that power to then create the relationship that you want. And the amazing thing, as I said, is that if you're feeling resentful, if you're feeling stuck, it gives you the steps and the tools to feel empowered and to let go of that resentment, to work through that resentment, to work around the resentment, right? When I was just speaking to a woman the other day who was just saying, I am so resentful. I'm so resentful of everything that I've been doing over the last few years, and just giving and thinking that I'm just supposed to sacrifice myself for him. And I said to her, it's so important for you right now to stop doing all of that and to take time to focus on you, regaining you, feeling that inner spark, that inner feeling that we all know that feeling of who we really are, that that feeling that Rabbi Kiva Tatz talks about. He says it's beyond words. We shouldn't even be able to put it into words because it's beyond this world. It's our neshama, right? It's who we really are. And very often when we're in a relationship and trying to please and trying to be and trying to fix, we're trying to be what the other person wants and fix the relationship and make everyone happy, we can lose sight of that woman. We can lose sight of that amazing woman that we are, trying to twist ourselves up and be who everyone else wants us to be. And when we do that, we lose that amazing strength. We lose that light. We lose that power that we are meant to bring to this world. And so what I invite you to do is to look to get back in touch with that amazing woman that's inside of you. And that's what I said to her. I said, I want you to focus for the next few months only on yourself, only on getting back in touch with yourself. Who do I want to be? What do I enjoy? Getting in touch with your feelings and your desires, learning to love life again and feel alive. And already, can you imagine what difference that will make in your relationship with your husband? But that's not even why you're doing it, right? Do it for you. And once you've done that, then when we actually start talking about relationships, right? Communication and respect for others, you're already going to feel like you're in a completely different place because you will be in a completely different place, right? And I just want to close off with an amazing Torah that I learned that is very appropriate for this time of year. We see this mentioned a lot in Eicha Rabbah, this when Yoshiyahu, one of the last great king of Yehuda, was king, he did what's called a bedek habayit. He wanted to rededicate the the Beit HaMikdash. He wanted to like fix it up. And as they were doing that, they found a Torah. And they were so excited that they found this Torah, they brought it straight to Yoshiyahu. Now, it could be that there were no Torahs, like after Menashe and all the craziness that was going on, there were no more Sifrei Torah. So the fact that they found this Torah was like amazing. Or it was the Torah of Moshe Rabbeinu. Whatever it was, they bring this Torah to Yoshiyahu, and Yoshiyahu is terrified. According to the Midrash, what that Torah was, the Torah was open to the parts in Devarim that talk about the horrible tochacha, the horrible rebuke, all the horrible things that will happen to the Jewish people when they do all the things that the people in his time were doing. And he was horrified. And he said, quick, take this to Huldah Hanaviyah. Take it to Huldah the prophetess. And there's a whole question. Why didn't he take it to Yirmiyahu? Yirmiyahu was his Navi. Well, one opinion says that Yirmiyahu was off doing a Nefesh B'Nefesh trip. He had gone up north to bring all the people who had been exiled earlier back to Israel. But another opinion says Yoshiyahu knew he needed a woman's touch. He needed a feminine touch, a feminine approach to this issue. And what did Huldah tell him? Huldah said, it's true, Yoshiyahu, that based on the actions of your grandfather and your father, there is a gzar din, there is a verdict in heaven that this temple will be destroyed and the people will be exiled. But because of your actions, because of everything you've done to reform this country, it will not happen during your time. Now, Yoshiyahu understood something very powerful about that. He said, wait, right now there's an edict, but that edict is not going to happen if we're acting a certain way because we're not in the place that the edict was given in. So the edict's pushed off. So what am I going to do? He then went in a full tshuva movement throughout the entire country, trying to get everyone to change because he said, wait, if everyone does tshuva, then we'll in every generation be in a different place and the edict won't be able to happen. And the Beit HaMikdash will never be destroyed and will never have to go into exile. What is the message that we get from this story? This is the message I take so powerfully from this story. When we stand in a different place, we create a different reality, a completely different reality. Our actions, who we are being, can allow a completely different reality to exist all around us. That is our power. You have that power. And I'm going to invite you to ask yourself, what is it that I want to create? Who is it that I want to be? And what do I need to do to create that? And if anyone has any questions, anyone wants any support in doing that, please don't hesitate to reach out, send me an email, send me a message, and let me know how I can support you. Because this is my dedication to all of you, that you can be the woman that you want to be and create the reality that you want to create. That you don't have to live in the past. You don't have to live in the resentment. You don't have to live in the mistakes. You don't have to live in the patterns that have been created for as long as you've been married and possibly even before. You have the ability to shift who you are being and then by definition, shift everything around you. And when you do that, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So I want to thank you all for being here with me. I want to thank you for showing up the day after a fast. Hope you're drinking a lot of water, doing all your laundry. I'm swimming in it. But I'm also swimming in water. I think I've drank 6 liters already today, so I'm going strong. I look forward to seeing you all next week. And until then, may we all be blessed to live, love, and be loved with all our hearts. Goodbye for now.